So I'm going to show you how to make a loud mouth. And the first thing you're going to do, you remember how to roll out a slab. I just want to review. You put your spacers on the sides. This one I chose to do double thickness 1 gallon paint stirrers. And I want to roll my rolling pin up and down the tracks until I'm rolling it and I'm not pushing down on the clay anymore. So it's all the same thickness. And once you've done that, you can put your rolling pin away. And your spacers, you won't need them anymore. And now it's time to get a template out. Now you got to decide, do you want your loudmouth to be more of a cylinder shape like this cup? Or do you want it to be cone shaped? Think about which might project the sound more. Which design do you want to use for your shape? And I have templates made for each of them. I'm trying out a foam piece of material for the template on the cone. And then the other one I just have a plain old piece of construction paper. I'm really thinking that I might start cutting them out of the plastic from folders, because that would last a long time and be reusable. So I'm going to make this one the cone shape. So I'm going to take my cone, I'm going to lay it down on my clay, and I am going to cut it out using a pin tool. And if you don't have a pin tool, a stretched out paper clip works great. I will show you. Okay, this is just a green paper clip, and I put tape on the part that's folded up still, and it cuts nicely right into the clay as well. And it's very safe. It's what I use with my first graders for some of their cutting out of clay for different projects, and it's extremely cheap. Okay, so I pull away all the surplus clay, and now I have my shape. So I'm going to use my cone to help with forming the shape. And I'm going to roll it around the clay. Okay, you're going to see that it doesn't go all the way to the top. I got to go down here to the point. Okay. And I'm going to score and slip. So I'm going to take out some vinegar. I like to use vinegar for my slip. I just find that it's really foolproof. Take a toothbrush, and it scores while it's putting the slip on. So I find that that's a great way to apply it. And it really holds it together. So I'm going to pinch them together where I'm attaching the two pieces of clay. Blend it. I like to use my hands, but you're definitely welcome to choose a tool that has a nice soft edge. Pinch it together and blend it. Now for this, even though I have the cone here, I'm going to slip it out for just a few minutes and make sure that I blend the inside too. And you want to go right in there and smooth it out so we don't see the seam where it just attached. Try and get way down in there by the point. Not easy, but you can do it. If I want it flat on the end where the mouth is going to be, I'm just going to drop it down a little bit on my surface. Smooth this out. Smooth it out on the inside. Put my comb back in just to help support it for now. Okay, and now I'm thinking about what I want to do to add details. So now's the fun part, right? You look at your sketch and you should have some ideas of what you want to do. You want to give your little guy maybe some eyes. What kind of eyes do you want to add? I'm going to add some eyes that I'm going to make little balls. So I'm going to roll the clay. And I want to have two that are similar in size. Okay. I'm going to put the iris in the eyes. So I'm going to poke it way down deep because that's going to help it dry more evenly. So now they look kind of like olives, don't they? Right, I'm going to take, ooh, bummer. That always happens. I've got to get better cups. Okay, take my vinegar, slip it and slip it. And score and slip my other eyeball. And again, I need to blend it. Nice thing that I have this cone in here, it really helps support it so that it's not getting all wonky while I hold it in my hands. I'm going to smooth out a little bit of the back of the eye. I don't want them to dry too quickly and then just roll off. So I'm going to attach them on the back. Smooth that out. Okay, it's already taking shape. I'm going to make a nose. To make the nose, flatten out a piece of clay. And I'm going to cut a triangle shape. And I need some cartilage because I want there to be nostrils. So I'm taking a very, very skinny piece. Dip it in the vinegar. Put that on. And now I'm going to take my clay. Put a little bit of vinegar on the tip here. This gets a little tricky because it's a small space. And push it down. Get the tool in there because my fingers are just getting too big for this space. Put it in there. And the other side. Smooth it out. See how I have nostrils now? Smooth it out. Make it one solid piece. Fun. So here's my nose. And, oh, I forgot. I did it again. You know what? Let me go backwards a minute. So here's my slab. I wrote notes too, and I still did it. When you have your slab, this is the time to texturize it. So push in your textures, whatever you want to use. This is a really cool piece. This is a stamp that I purchased for, it was in a magazine for kindergarten to make printmaking. But it really makes a really good pattern on the clay. But I also have things like lace and other objects that you could actually just roll into the clay to add textures. I could take this and I could just press it into the clay. I'm going to make 2 rows of this. Press it into the clay. You could do all kinds of, any kind of design. I put Legos in it. Look, I have a Lego here. This is a big Duplo Lego, but I could put that in and I can make more designs on my clay. So you want to texturize your clay, okay? Then you want to cut out your pattern. And look, I got lucky. Look, my other one, my scrap is big enough that my cylinder shape, big mouth, will work for this. This is the cup shape. So I'm going to cut this out of my textured clay. Wrap it around the shape. Oops. Fanned out end goes on the top. It's a little bit thicker than the paper, so that's why it's a little bit short. Come back in, score and slip with my handy dandy toothbrush and vinegar. Attach it, and I'm back in business, same as I was with the other project, but really you will find that it's a lot easier. I found through trial and error that it's a lot easier to attach your textures when you're building it. Before you build it, it's just you compromise the actual shape when you add the textures later. But that's what I'm going to have to do with my little cone man. Now see, when you add the seam, you can always go over it if you need to. And you can press in your textures to fake it out that it's a solid piece at that part. So there's my other big mouth shape. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to go back to this guy. So this guy, he has no texture, right? I forgot. So what can I do? I can take different tools and I can still push them in. Look at this really interesting clay tool. I can make a texture by pushing into it with this. You really can, it's not the point of no return. You can change your ideas or add the textures as you go. Okay, so maybe I want to give the illusion of scales. And because I have the cylinder inside of this, the cone, it really gives it a lot of strength. So I can add my textures to it. What else are you going to add to it? Am I going to add a tail? Every once in a while I want to pop it out because the clay is drying gently, gradually, and by popping it out, it's not going to stay stuck in there because as clay dries, it gets smaller. So I don't want it to be stuck in there indefinitely. All right, these cones are awesome. I'm recycling them from the yarn that I bought this year for our weaving projects. Came in there. So I cut out a piece, and this is going to be a tail. I'm going to attach his tail right here to the side, and I'm going to make it wave and attach in. So to make it stick, again, you want to score and slip where he's going to go. Attach it, blend it. Now you don't want this random tail just sitting out here. I'm worried it will break, so I'm going to add it one more time so that it's not too much floating, because clay is fragile, and if I have it floating out there without any support, I'm concerned that it might really just break off, as it's sliding off right now. I'm going to pull this out so that I can get in there and attach it really well to the end. I put some textures on there too. You want to make sure that it doesn't roll over. You have to remember that its purpose is to support a cell phone, so we don't want it to be rolling all over. So you might want to include some legs and feet. I really like this design from the Legos. I'm going to use that on a leg. And I'm just going to cut that out. I'm going to make some more. And cut that out too. Okay, I can use these as my legs. Let's see, how do I want them to attach? I can shape them once they're here, give them some little feet, toes maybe. Remember, you can use underglazes later to color toes if you wanted. But these work as a good base to help them not roll over. And think about inside the mouth. Are you going to add teeth? Are you going to put a tongue in there? You know, this scraps are really awesome because they could be a tongue. I could have a tongue coming out of his mouth. Cut it right out of this. I don't want it probably as thick as the actual project, so I'm push it down. That's kind of big. I don't want it that big. It's going to obstruct the sound if I do too big of a tongue. Got to remember that too, right? So I put a tongue in there, in the mouth. And now it's time to start thinking about adding the hole for my cell phone to go in. So you want to take your cell phone dummy. It's just a piece of wood that's a little bit thicker than an actual cell phone. And it's about as high as most cell phones are in their case. And so you're going to figure out where you want to go. And I'm going to put it back here. So I'm going to cut into my, I'm going to draw it first. Where it's going to go in. I'm going to cut it in. I'm going to put my cell phone dummy in there. I want to make sure it fits. You might want to make sure it tilts back a little bit too, so it would be able to see the actual screen. So here is the beginning of my one. See on the side? Here it is. I didn't attach those legs yet, so I'll put them on. And see, the sound would be coming through here, but look, my cell phone doesn't go all the way to the bottom. That will be a problem because then it will not project the sound. So I want to come back in here and fix up the hole. Double check. Okay. See, is it going to fit in there? If it's not going to be high enough for the speaker to fit in, the sound part of the cell phone. It's not going to project the sound. It still will be a great cell phone holder, but it really would be nice if it actually can amplify the music as well. So here you go. Here's my cell phone holder inside. Good luck. I can't wait to see the creatures that you create for your cell phone holders. Boys and girls, this project is probably going to take you at least 2 days to build, so you're going to need to be able to store your cell phone holder. So to store it, you're going to get a takeaway box, and it has your room number and your class number. This is your personal number in your classroom. It's also your computer number or your book box number. So you're going to put your project carefully and any other parts that you have made this week. So I'll put my feet in there as well. Okay, they might not be attached, and that's okay. I'm going to take my cell phone dummy out, and you're going to get a piece of sponge. You want it to have it wet but not dripping, and you'll store that in there next to it. And you're going to close it up, and you're going to snap the edges and store it until next week, where you're going to finish working on it, and it will be safe, and it should be moist when you get back. See you next week.